Well, we need to know a couple of things. Number one, we need to know how the world's premier law enforcement agency managed to lose 5 months worth of text. And what's also troubling is in the text we do have, they're discussing how to avoid text being captured and secured. So what's missing is important, but also what's there is important. It is manifest bias, not just against Trump, but against his kids, against his business interests. There's a text where they hope the Trump hotel fails. That is a level of bias that you rarely see and you never see from law enforcement officers. What's also troubling to me is this text that Johnny Ratcliffe found last night about this secret society. Now, I have no clue what that means because that was not the phraseology I used, but it's the day after the election, and it's the same two people that were discussing a little bit later in the text the damage they had done with the Clinton investigation and how they could, quote, fix it and make it right.
What's out there? Hello everyone, this is Papa Bear. Today is Tuesday, March 20th, the first day of spring, 2018. You're listening to the LNM Radio Network, WCET 101.3 FM, Columbia Talk. And we're going to go over a little bit of what is out there. Unbelievable. Andy McCabe, they've decided to take away his early retirement, is how that turns out. He was on the brink of turning 50, and he was going to take his retirement at 50, but, well, it seems though they wanted to fire him instead of, go ahead and let him retire. But the thing is, with the retirement, I have to say, the retirement was supposed to take effect because of a certain retirement program. They were able to retire at 50. Well, now he has to wait. It is pretty much what's going on there. It's with the unions. You know how it goes with the unions. But with Andrew McCabe, of course, a lot of other people are going to come down too. And this is, and it used to be years ago, a few years back, 4 or 5 years ago, maybe? Even longer, actually. It's been going on for quite a while, but you're labeled conspiracy theory, okay? Conspiracy theorist, whatever. Whoever was wearing that so-called label would talk about the deep state. And it was laughed off as being crazy, right? The guy that wears the tinfoil hat. Well, it seems as though 70 to 75% of the population is now aware of the deep state. So us crazy tinfoil hat wearers, we're onto things. We're not afraid to look. We're not afraid to be wrong. That's the thing. We're not afraid to be wrong. We don't mind being told that we're wrong. We don't mind being showed that we're wrong. Okay? We can accept it. We can't accept not being, if we are right, we can't accept being told we're wrong if we have all the evidence that backs up our side of it. That is the basic gist there. You know how everybody goes. Everybody has a belief system, okay? And everybody believes certain things. And your beliefs may or may not be shaken depending on the evidence that you're shown. Now, there's this thing called cognitive dissonance. And what happens is you can show anybody who has this cognitive dissonance, basically it's a denial. It's a denial of facts no matter how much evidence is put in front of you. And this is what we have with a lot of people that's going on right now. There's a denial, just a flat-out denial of facts that are out there. And I had a nice little debate this morning with a man in Facebook who compared, Trump basically said, hey, he's a dictator. He's slamming down this and the other because of the opium thing, the opium statement that Trump made. Now, everybody knows, if you've been paying attention to Trump and you've been listening to him, President Trump, you listen and you watch him and you listen to what he says and you watch what he does, you'll realize that Trump makes statements out of the gate that he's not educated on. He's not fully educated on. But he doesn't make a decision until he gets the education. Okay? And that's the difference. That's the whole difference now. Education is an important thing. Knowledge is good. Truth is what you need to know. Okay. The opium thing, he said he wants to do a death penalty on the opium dealers. Okay. Well, if he's talking about opium dealers, first of all, when he made the statement, the stocks went down on pharmaceuticals. So this is probably going to tell you where your opioids are coming from. Okay. Where's the addiction coming from? Is coming from the pharmaceutical industry. They make this stuff up. They tell the doctors, they say, look, or doctor partners, whatever, hospitals, prescribe this stuff. If you prescribe a certain amount of it, you'll get a bonus. So they get a bonus for dishing this stuff out. And the same thing with vaccinations, okay, with vaccines. Under 2 years old, 200 children, $40,000. Wow. I mean, you want to dig up as many groups of 200 kids as you can. Am I not right? I mean, if a doctor is in a small area and he's not seeing a lot of kids, think about it. You got a lot of doctors and you've got a lot of people, but I mean, anybody who goes to see a doctor knows that when it comes time to find a doctor, usually they're all booked up. They're full. So, trying to work in these extra patients and all, they have to deal with what they got. They're working on the bonuses. Remember, there's this little thing in the Bible, and you might not like the Bible. It's okay. It's not. I don't see it as a religious book. I see it as a book of life. Okay. The wicked shall prosper. And you look at where the money is. Who's got the money? Bankers, lawyers, attorneys, doctors, bankers, lawyers, and doctors, right? And politicians. You can't forget the politicians now. All right? And now you start talking about the money, and then you've got the liberals who are all squealing, oh, everything is unequal. We've got inequality with the money. Well, of course you are. That's the way it's designed. Okay? You have, for example, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and Michael Moore decide to hold a town hall on inequality. Okay? Boy, talk about the epitome of hypocrisy. The three of them combined own 13 homes and are worth $61 million. Okay? 13 homes, $61 million, 3 people. And they're talking about income inequality. All right? You know what? We have poor people, and you people have all these millions. If you want to do something good, don't sound off. Spend some of your money. Throw some of that stuff around. If you say that there are people out there that don't have enough of it, get out there. Spew it around. Hey, if you're going to make income equal, you have to do it, right? Go to your town office, find out or go to your state, find out who's getting state assistance. Start out with the lowest income first and go hand them a couple grand, $2,000-$3,000. Come on, people. Come on. 3 of them right there. $61 million. And we can't help out. Come on, you know what $61 million could do? Hey, better yet, trim three of it right off the top, so they each get $1 million apiece. All right, you got $58 million. What can you do with $58 million, huh? 13 homes and 3 people. It looks like you're about 10 homes heavy, right? I wonder how big those homes are. Do you think they'd make good group homes or places for the homeless or something like that, You see, here's the thing. I'm all for anarchy. I love anarchy. It's great. But you have this. Okay? Anarchy cannot stand up because of this. Obviously. You'll always going to have somebody. There'll always be somebody who wants the power, who wants the money, who wants what you have. They're jealous. They're envious. It's envy and jealousy. This is what the Bible calls coveting. Okay? Right? You know, we should thrill on the successes of others. You know, we shouldn't lament. And that was something else I wanted to touch on about that, because that all comes back to the upbringing. Okay? And with your upbringing, did your siblings or parents praise you, or did they cut you down? Your teammates, classmates, did they praise you or did they cut you down? See, this is the whole thing with the school suicide or the mass shootings, right? These people are neglected, they're bullied, or this, that, and the other, right? Reach out and save a kid, The thing is that if this kid is having problems in school, chances are is started at home, okay? And I say that because siblings and parents can be bad things for each other. The family can be the one thing that will hold you back. The one thing. And you'll always find that there's always one family member who decides, hey, it's okay, I don't have to pay you back. You know what I mean? Because, we just, we share everything. We're socialist. We have a socialist family, and that's the way I was raised, and, well, that's the way it goes, even through adulthood. It doesn't work that way. Or when somebody sees something, kleptomaniacs, oh, geez, I like that, and they grab it, It's like, what do you mean you like it, so you grab it? Why? Because you like it? I mean, what, because it looked good? But it's not yours. It doesn't belong to you. So why would you go down a path like that? And like I say, with kids, and most of it today is designed, is built right into the system. And the reason why it's built into the system, of course, is the money. It's all about the money. It all comes out of the banks, okay? The whole feminist movement, all right? Burn your bras, equal rights, this, that, and the other. And yes, it looks good on the face. On the face of it, it looks wonderful, okay? But now the banks can tax more. The IRS and the government can tax more people because now you have more people in the workforce. But you've got both parents out there. Who's going to spend time with the kids? You shove them off in school, you shove them off into daycare, and that's where your kids grow up. That's where they're raised. You can't parent your kids anymore because it costs too much. A household requires 2 incomes nowadays. You just can't make it on one anymore. And, see, in my situation, I was different than most because both of my parents worked at night. I never saw my parents. I was at school during the day, and at night, my brother. I had one older brother who'd watch out for me, and that was it. And, my older sister, but she did her thing. And when you're talking, 11, 12 years old, which is what my sister and I were, and then my older brother who was like, 19, 20, there's a big age difference there. The oldest one's out of school, obviously, and out doing his own thing. So there's no parenting. There was no parenting for me when I was a child. I had to learn it on my own. And that, it's not a good thing. I don't think it was a good upbringing. But you know what? It is what it is. I don't have parents. I'm sorry. I don't have children. I never had children. And I'm probably the last guy to talk to anybody about children, since I haven't raised any. But I used to be one. And I know what kids are all about. And I decided at a young age that if I had to go through half the stuff that my parents went through, it was going to be unpleasant. And I decided not to do that. And then again, because of what we call the pussification of America, where the men are being trained to be like women and back down. Okay, this has been going on for eons. Remember, the guy says, hey, he's got to speak with the boss, and that's the wife. Okay, and that's another thing that I have. I don't give in, and that's another reason why I remain single, because I'm not the type of guy. Well, I like to help, okay, and then I get belittled for helping someone else, and then when I ask, well, what's wrong? It's like you get that standard line, well, you should know. I'm not a mind reader, okay? I don't go for that you should know stuff. Women, that doesn't work with men, okay? Men don't know. You need to tell them. You need to spell it out. Men are not like women in that regard. They're not going to read your mind. They don't know what's going on. If you have pets, when you talk to your pets, they don't understand a word you're saying. Nothing. Obama helped Facebook harvest and exploit your personal data. Of course. Remember, it all started with, Bush with the Patriot Act and 9/11. Yeah, that was where it started. And then, of course, it went along to Bush, went along to Obama. And then now you've got Bezos working with North Korea, setting up another Google type of thing down there, okay? They're harvesting your data. They're selling your data. They're making money on you. But it seems as though something is going on behind the scenes, because Mark Zuckerberg sold a boatload of stocks. He dumped a bunch of Google, or Facebook, I'm sorry. He dumped a bunch of Facebook, and it brought the stocks down. Something is going on, and it's I'm not there to see the whole picture. But believe me, you can see it. When Zuck decides he's gonna sell off a large portion of shares of his company, why would that be happening? I don't think it's because he's, gonna run low on money or anything. I mean, it's not like he's got too much to worry about, right? And you would think, again, with all this stuff going on, all the stuff in the networks and your spying and this, that, and the other, they'd be able to keep track of, who's undocumented and who isn't. Okay? You know, the IRS has 1.3 million cases of identity theft by illegals. Not only that, but they can't confirm one single prosecution. Not one. Out of 1.3 million cases of identity thefts by illegal, not one prosecution. Okay? So, I don't get, this whole thing, it's, I'd rather go back to watching the news and the weather, just saying, hey, look, we're going to get 6 to 12 inches tomorrow, which is what they're telling me now, 6 to 12 inches of snow. Wednesday, Thursday, it's going to be a great one up here in Maine. Anyway. This stuff is happening so fast nowadays, I just don't know where to go anymore. Losing your hair? I got to drop this one in here, okay? This is the funniest thing I've heard in a while. McDonald's, I guess the oil they use for cooking their French fries has a chemical in it which regrows hair. Yep. It regrows hair. Imagine, huh? I don't know. You know how their fries are. They come up pretty clean. They're usually not too greasy when you get a hold of them. They're pretty well dried off. But I don't know. If you can get a greasy package of fries and you've got a hair loss problem, I don't know. It might be worth some exploration. You just never know. I personally don't have a problem with it. I really don't. But, you know, some people, but this is hereditary. You get it from the mother's side of the family, you know. And how can you tell from the mother's side of the family? Usually with women, their hair doesn't go bald. It gets thin, okay? And there's only a few where I've actually seen women with thin hair. But they say that the men will get their traits from their mother. And I believe that because there's a thing I have in my hand, actually both hands. It's called a Dupuytren's contracture. And it will limit the movement of your hand. I mean, in my right hand, I can't make a cup anymore. I can't hold a ball. My hand doesn't shape like that anymore with my right hand. My mother had the same thing in the same part of her hand, but it wasn't as big. On my left hand, in almost the same area, I have another one, just a small one, a very small one. It doesn't limit the movement. It's just a knot that I can feel in my hand. But my mother, hers tightened right up, and it held her finger to the point where she couldn't use her hand. So it's kind of like the opposite left and right, left, right thing. Anyway. But you'll get a lot from hereditary when it comes to tendons and things like that. Okay. Let's see. I've been going through my my Facebook here to kind of get subjects to. Well, actually, Mass Transit Authority, MTA, worker dead after falling while clearing subway tracks. This happened in East Harlem, in Manhattan. An MTA worker died after falling while clearing subway tracks in Manhattan. The police said the worker, a 23-year-old man, was clearing debris when he fell onto the tracks in the tunnel near the East 125th and Lexington Avenue station around 4:50 a.m. Police earlier said the worker had been struck by a train. Now, it remains unclear how far he fell. Police said he fell 20 feet. MTA said he fell about 9 feet, but he was hospitalized with serious head injuries, and he later passed on. 23-year-old man. It's tragic. But this is what construction does. There are a lot of hazards in construction, and I used to work construction. I did a lot of construction, and the safety protocols when it comes to construction are they can be tedious to say the least, because you know anything over 6 feet you have to have a harness, and you've got to hook onto something, tie off, just in case if you're going to fall, it's going to stop you from falling, it's going to stop you from hitting. Tie-offs are one thing, safety glasses, hard hats given in certain areas, and then with new construction, you're working with rebar and things like that. There was one construction site that we had, there was a whole, well, my boss was telling me about it, where they had holes in the floor, and they had the holes covered up, and of course, there were, they had ribbons around them, okay? And basically we call it tied off. It's so that you can't cross. It's a barrier to keep you from crossing it. When you're working close to that barrier, you have to be careful, because if you cross the barrier, you could wind up down in the hole. And that is what happened to one of our guys. He stepped backwards, he went back too far, he fell down in the hole, and he died right there. So it's not a pleasant scene. It happens. Down in Connecticut at a brass rolling mill, there was a man who was working on with a what they call a draught. It's a man lift, and all it is just a straight arm with a bucket in the end of it. But what holds the bucket in place is a hook on the bottom. And the hook decided to come unhooked for some reason. It didn't have the safety on it. And the bucket tipped, and it dumped that man right out of the bucket. And he fell probably a good 30 feet onto his back onto a chain. He lived through it, but he's paralyzed from the waist down. And this happened years ago. So what I have to say is construction work is pretty dangerous work. If you're out there construction, if you know anybody who's doing construction, you have family members or anything like that do construction, it would might be a good idea to think twice. When they go to work, they're dealing with some hazardous stuff, especially structural steel guys and things like that. Anyway, you're listening to What's Out There. Don't go away. We'll be back.
Let me assure you that our priority will remain to ensure stability and security.
In order to ensure the security and continuing
Stability, security for Canadians.
Galactic Empire!
So this is how liberty dies. With thunderous applause.
Attention L&M Radio Network listeners. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of the L&M Radio Network by calling 605-562-4203? No smartphone app or internet needed. Saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Call 605-562-4203 to listen to the L&M Radio Network on any phone, anytime, anywhere.
Brothers at Arms is not about being militant, though there is a time and place where that is necessary. Brothers at Arms is not about arguing, though there are times where things may get heated. Brothers at Arms is not about who is right or wrong. There are many sides to each issue. Brothers at Arms is about exploring those sides, about dealing with the issues facing us today, about coming together and, through opposing views, understanding the deeper truths that are in the middle. Join Ira Robinson and Joe Long each Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on LateNightInTheMidlands.com as these Brothers at Arms discuss what you need to know. Brothers at Arms, it's about time. Have you been looking for answers? Have you been seeking the truth but can't seem to find it? Late Night in the Midlands has the answers for you. Whether you are interested in the paranormal, aliens and UFOs, alternative health information, or just a little hope and inspiration, we have a show for you. Late Night in the Midlands, The Secret Teachings, Open Eyes, Red Pill Reality Show, Brothers at Arms, and many more shows. All here on the L&M Network for you to listen to at any time that you want. Everything is free to listen to, and though it is not required, we are listener supported, and all donations are deeply appreciated. You will not find shows like these in the mainstream media. Go to LateNightInTheMidlands.com to listen. The L&M Network, where the truth has no fear.
This is TJ Sanfilippo, host of Navigating the River Styx. Join us each and every Thursday night at midnight here on Late Night in the Midlands Radio Network. Together, we will traverse the forbidden waters of the paranormal, the occult, our hidden history, conspiracies, and things that dwell in the darkness and the deep. Come, grab a seat by the fire away from the night that is closing in. I have tales to tell you. When the clock strikes 12, I invite you to join us here on Late Night in the Midlands Radio Network. Until then, stay safe.
The L&M Radio Network and Late Night in the Midlands depends on you, the listener. Without you, there would be no us. So help us continue to bring you the best guests with the best information and subscribe today. Information on becoming an L&M subscriber can be found at the top of LateNightInTheMidlands.com. Just click the About Subscriptions tab and become part of the family while helping the truth stay alive. And while you're at it, maybe subscriptions aren't for you. A one-time donation helps as well. Click that donate button on the right side of LateNightInTheMidlands.com and help us help you.
Oh, you gotta like that music by Ben Sound, bensound.com. That's where I get the music, you know. Of course, I have to put in this plug because, well, it's part of the agreement, right? Anyway, you're listening to us on L&M Radio Network, LNM like Larry, Nancy, Mary, LNMradionetwork.com, LateNightInTheMidlands.com, 101.7 WCET Columbia Talk, our mothership. Anyway, I'm Papa Bear. We're back with what's out there, and we'll give you a little bit more of what's out there. I talked with you a little bit about Facebook earlier, and what's going on. Zuckerberg decided to sell off some of his shares and whatever. But what happened was a vocal base of investors who put their money where their values are, they started to sour on Facebook. Facebook shares closed down nearly 7% on Monday, wiping nearly $40 billion off its market value, as investors worried that potential legislation could damage the company's advertising business. Facebook Incorporated chief executive Mark Zuckerberg is facing calls from lawmakers to explain how the political consultancy gained improper access to data on 50 million Facebook users. Cambridge Analytica said it strongly denies the media claims that it said it deleted all Facebook data it obtained from the third-party application in 2014 after learning the information did not adhere to data protection rules. The lid is being opened on the black box of Facebook's data practices, and the picture is not pretty, said Frank Pasquale, a University of American law professor who has written about Silicon Valley use of data. The scrutiny presents a fresh threat to Facebook's reputation, which is already under attack over, ready for this, Russia's alleged use of Facebook tools to sway U.S. voters with divisive and false news posts before and after the 26 elections. I will dispute that. And the reason why I say that is anybody who's got a Facebook account knows you'll get a Facebook request. It comes up from some chick who's got half of her private parts exposed in her picture. There's no profile, there's no history, none of that stuff. Okay, and you get them from regular Joes too. Okay, these people want to know what you're up to. All right. They don't think you're just, some handsome guy they want to hang out with, and if with women, it's probably the same thing with guys. You're getting guys that are half buck naked, with no profile. These, and that's what they do. And it's not Russia. It's not Russia doing it. Believe me. I know. I had knocks on my door. I know who's doing this. Okay. So there's your bottom line right there. But Facebook stocks are going down. People are leaving the platform. They're going to places like WeMe and Steemit and things like that. And as a matter of fact, I've gotten several requests from other people, you know, hey, join me at other places. And I'm thinking, yeah, I'd love to do that. Right now, I have a Twitter account. I have a Twitter account for, I've had it for a long time, but I don't use it. It's very rare when I use it. So, but then again, you know, Twitter and YouTube and Facebook, there was a culling of members, and it seems as though their AI had picked up algorithms that they didn't like, and all of a sudden it started throwing people out. And the whole QAnon thing with the QAnon posts and the 4chan, 8chan, and all that stuff, well, I guess that the page is making such big waves that it's messing up the algorithms. So we're doing something. Patriots, if you're out there and you're passing news out there, you get it out there, okay? Something else I want to make people well aware of, okay? Trump is who we have. You don't have to like him, okay? It's not required. But you have to support your country, okay? This man is who we have. You can't stop it. If you can stop it, do it. Do it. I mean, all these people complaining, they're the ones that want to stop it. It's just a bunch of noise. It's liberal tears. That's all it is liberal tears, okay? If you want to do something good for your country, no one's perfect, okay? You're not perfect. I'm not perfect. Trump isn't perfect, okay? If you think he's making some mistakes, send him a letter. Confront him. Don't be bashful, because he's listening to the people. He's working for you. He made it well known that he works for the people. He's working for the people, not the deep state, okay? Why? Why? They're still fighting him over a year. They're still kicking and screaming and crying the liberal tears and doing whatever they can to get him out. And you know what? It's turned a lot of them into useful idiots. They're exposing the whole shadow government, the whole deep state. I like it. I really do. And it's something that is well past time. I grew up, you know, in a time where Federal Reserve notes were all we had. You know, my father knew the difference, but he didn't teach me any of it, and I lost him at a young age. My mother didn't know anything about it. She really didn't care about it. It didn't bother her at all. She'd rather watch her television. But I don't know how it happened, but I started seeing things and poking and prodding, and then all of a sudden it's like the things that I was told didn't make sense anymore. So I had to start to dig into it deeper. And that's what it is. If you get a feeling that something doesn't make sense and it doesn't sound right to you, dig into it. Dig into it if you have the time, because a lot of people don't have time. And that's what happened through the Bush years. A lot of the years with the full employment. If you have full employment, people are working. They're too busy. They have to work. They're too busy to be caught up in any of this, okay? Well, if you have your work distracting you during the day, and you have your ball games distracting you at night, what time do you have? Or on the weekends, what time do you have? You really don't have any time. See, the idea of the whole system, okay, remember, give them bread and circuses, right? It'll keep their minds occupied while they do what they have to do. Capitalism is the same thing. Capitalism keeps you at work. So you're working all day. You have, not only are you producing for the country, for the wealth of the country, all right, adding to its asset value, okay, but you've lost your time for research. Okay? All that's gone. 40 hours a week is gone because you have to work. There's 40 hours you can't research. Okay? Then you've got your weekend. If you've got a family, you need your family time. There's nothing more important than family time, especially with children. Okay? It's very important. And there's something else I'd like to stress. I was behind a pickup the other day that stopped at an intersection, and we're both making a left turn. And the guy that was straight ahead, he came across, and the other guy behind him zoomed right out behind him. Didn't leave any space. And the guy in front of me blew his horn and waved his hand and had all kinds of temper tantrum in the front seat of his truck. But after all was said and done, both cars went by. He went through. I followed him, and I thought about this, and I'm thinking, well, you blew your horn. What changed? What did the outcome change at all? Everything is still exactly the same, right? He went through where he wanted to go through, where he bullied his own, this other guy bullied his own way through, and the guy in front of me blew the horn, waved his hands, and okay, so he's creating a ruckus in front of in the cab of his truck. Only he's aware of it, and of course the person next to him. But when you throw this stuff out in the air in the cab of that truck, whoever's riding with you, they don't want to hear that. That's negative. It's those kind of vibes transmit. So I think about it, it's like, don't sweat the petty stuff. The things you can't change like that, that's just a quick moment of frustration, and you get past it. It's gone. It's gone. It's a minute. It's a moment of your day. It's less than a minute, and it's gone. And you risked your health because you had an opinion that differed from theirs, which went nowhere. It went nowhere. Down the street with you in your truck, that was where it went. So don't sweat the petty stuff. There's some things you can't change. If you don't like it, hey, whatever, I do things people don't like. People do things that I don't like, Doesn't mean I hate them. Just means they do things I don't like. I want to jump back here real quick to the McCabe thing, okay? It seems as though when McCabe got fired, General Flynn's son, had a couple of words to say about that, in Twitter even, okay? This is the note. It says, pursuant to Department Order 1202 and based on the report of the Inspector General, the findings of the FBI Office of Professional Responsibility, and the recommendation of the department's senior career official, I have terminated the employment of Andrew McCabe effective immediately, Sessions said in a statement. Now, General Flynn's son, Mike Flynn Jr., started his tweet storm by celebrating McCabe's firing, and he said, he's had it out for my father since his days at the DIA. Okay? This is good. He needs to be prosecuted. And then he said, this is his tweet, actually, thank you at Jeff Sessions for firing the utterly corrupt Andrew McCabe. Hashtag justice, hashtag POS, twitter.com. Anyway. And then another one. First we F McCabe, and then we F... We'll let you fill in all the blank. We'll let you all fill the rest out. Right there. Hashtag justice. So, yeah. And then, again, here's another one. TikTok Comey. And then another one. This says, McCabe can kiss my rump on being singled out. You know who was singled out? At General Flynn. F. McCabe. Yeah. So, and again, this is the firing of Andrew McCabe is an indictment of the corruption that was the Obama administration. This firing isn't about just one person. TikTok. Okay? So this is just the beginning. I think what's going to happen is if anybody remembers, Flynn says, or McCabe says, "Oh yeah, you're going to fire me. You're going to take away my pension and all that." I'm not going down alone. Okay, which was good, which is awesome, because they weren't going to offer him a deal anyway. No deals. Well, give me my pension and I'll unravel it for you. Nope, doesn't matter. Well, you know what? He's going to unravel it anyway. And of course, we know how deep the corruption goes. The Clintons have a list a mile long, a body list of mile long. Okay, remember? Oh goodness, the guy that got shot in the back of the head twice to commit suicide, right? Yeah. Anyway, FBI Special Agent David Rayner, he was expected to expose the extent of the Obama and Clinton corruption and malpractice in the Operation Fast and Furious cover-up before a U.S. federal grand jury. He's been found murdered with his own gun. 52. Special Agent Rayner was stabbed multiple times and shot twice with his own weapon, just one day before he was due to testify before a U.S. federal grand jury, where he was widely expected to testify that Hillary Clinton acted illegally while covering up the Fast and Furious scandal to protect Obama administration crimes. Rayner's wife, Donna Fisher, was also found dead at the scene. An autopsy will be completed to determine the exact cause of death, according to police. So, authorities are offering a $215,000 reward for tips in Souter's killing. I have struggled to understand what happened. The detective was shot with his own gun, which was found at the scene. 2 other shots were fired from the gun, and Davis said there were signs of a brief struggle. So, are we saying the body count is racking up? Body count's racking up. Yeah. Okay. The deep state shadow government is revealed. I mentioned this before, but I want to do it again. The Senior Executive Service, or the SES. Their symbol is a keystone. And a keystone is basically... it's a stone that's, it's cut in on the sides. It's wider on the top than it is on the bottom. And what happens is when you have an arch, this stone fits in the top to keep the arch from collapsing. It's what they call the keystone, and it's the very top. Okay. Well, this is also a program that that is incorporated into hardware in your computer, which allows in your hardware in your computer, not software but hardware, which actually goes up before your boot up process. It's in the binary, so that you're hacked. It doesn't matter what, you're going to be hacked. Okay, thank you, Bill Gates, right? Okay. Anyway, this is more of that spyware stuff. And I'm not sure exactly how this is going to affect Mr. Gates. He's got his hands full now with the vaccinations going on over there in South Africa, or in Africa, whatever. And then, of course, with his operating systems, Win 10, everybody's got to get on Win 10, right? Yeah, that's probably pretty much why. But anyway, most of the people that a new president gets the name over, most people know that a new president gets to name over 4,000 political appointees when they're elected. This political cronyism is partisan politics and fills our bloated government with unqualified employees. Some think that these are people that comprise the deep state, but the deep state is much deeper than that. There's a much more sinister system in place that controls Washington, D.C.'s bureaucracies through an actual organized shadow government called the deep state. Remember, 75% of the people now know about this stuff, okay? It's the heart of the deep swamp, okay? In this American intelligence media Citizen Intelligence Report. We are going to show you exactly who they are and how you can remove them. Washington, D.C. Deep State is a group of 8,156 appointed managers in 75 federal agencies that control the executive bureaucracy and tell new political appointees what they can and cannot do. That's right, the Deep State is an official government program, well organized, comprehensive, and in charge. Okay? Of the 8,156 members who make up this deep state of ensconced bureaucrats, over 7,000 were appointed by Obama. These are the Obama holdouts, okay? They still control the executive branch of the government a full year after Trump has come into office. Obama expanded the existing program of deep state managers and appointed over 7,000 of the 8,156 bosses who are called the Senior Executive Service. Some call it the shadow government. And it is true, this federal cabal works in the shadows. And you've probably never heard of it, but some call it Obama's Army. Okay. And there are basically four types of appointees. You've got presidential appointments with Senate confirmation, presidential appointments without Senate confirmation. You have non-career senior executive service, and then Schedule C appointments. But the presidential appointments with Senate confirmation, there are 1,212 senior leaders, including the cabinet secretaries and their deputies, and heads of most independent agencies and ambassadors. The appointments without Senate confirmation, there are 353 positions, which make up much of the White House staff, although they're also scattered throughout many of the smaller federal agencies. Non-career senior executive service, that's members of the senior executive service who work in key positions just below top presidential appointees. They bridge the gap between the political leaders and the civil service throughout the federal government. And Schedule C appointments, there are 1,403 Schedule C appointees who serve in a confidential or policy role. They range from schedulers and confidential assistants to policy experts. Okay? So, nearly 70% of that service are about to experience their first presidential transition as executives. Okay? So, in reality, they are today entrenched bureaucratic personnel who do the bidding of the Obama-Clinton regime and their globalist masters. Okay. Now, the SES was established by the Civil Service Reform Act of 1978 and acts as an executive branch personnel system. SES members serve in key positions just below the top presidential appointees and are the major link between senior officials and the rest of the federal workers. The two types of SES positions are general, which can be filled by any type of appointment, and career reserved, which can only be filled by a career appointment. Okay. And then you have non-career appointments, okay, which are a general SES position that is of a top policy determining character, who shares with presidential appointees the advocacy of running current administration policies. Okay. Career appointments have no limitation and provide certain jobs protections and benefits not conferred by non-career or limited appointments. Limited term appointments are non-renewable appointments for a year or 3 years or less, and limited emergency appointments are non-renewable appointments not to exceed 18 months to a general SES position established to meet a bona fide, unanticipated, urgent need. Unanticipated, urgent need. I wonder. Oh. Unreal. But anyway, this is a big deal going on here. Something else that I wanted to mention, in Nevada, Ryan Bundy is running for the governor of Nevada. It's official, okay? He said, "This is not what America is supposed to be. If you're looking for a constitutional governor and you live in Nevada, please look at Ryan Bundy, okay? Please. This is what Ryan said. We create government to protect and serve us. These are some of the beliefs of my family. That we have said we will do whatever it takes to defend is not a threat. It's a statement. Being right here before you today is part of doing whatever it takes. The Founding Fathers pledged whatever it would take, their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor to defend rights. Okay? This is all about your rights, people. Please, get a constitution, a pocket constitution, a small one, anything. Read it. It's very short. You can read it in a couple hours if you're slow. Okay? Know what your rights are, please, because if you don't, how can you defend something if you don't know what it is? It's pretty simple. I mean, if you don't know what your rights are, you can't defend them. Okay? So, I mean, you have to know what your rights are. And then enforce those, because they're the only ones who have rights are the ones that claim them and enforce them. That's it. They're not going to roll over and say, "Oh, okay, yep, you got your rights. You're right." No, they're going to fight and fight and fight. It's all about the dollar they're going to put in their pocket, or they call it the promotion they're going to get. Okay, it's no different in law enforcement than it is in any other industry, right? Medical, pharmaceutical. Okay, it's all lies. It's all lies, and you suck it up. You believe it like it's gospel. This is your religion, people. This is your religion. It's your belief system. That's your religion. Also, if you're a vaccine nut, you'll find that the editor of a top medical journalist admits 50% of pro-vaccine science is fraudulent. Dr. Richard Horton, the current editor-in-chief of The Lancet, he's considered to be one of the most well-respected peer-reviewed, or the book is one of the most well-respected peer-reviewed medical journals in the world. He has admitted that at least half of the medical literature used to justify vaccination agenda is fraudulent, and that science has taken a turn toward darkness. Okay? He recently published a statement declaring that a lot of published research supposedly pushing a vaccine agenda is in fact unreliable at best, if not completely fraudulent. He said, "The case against science is straightforward. Most of the scientific literature, perhaps half, may simply be untrue. Afflicted by studies with small samples, tiny effects, invalid exploratory analyses, and flagrant conflicts of interest, together with an obsession for pursuing fashionable trends of dubious importance, science has taken a turn towards darkness." It's pretty plain, people. It's pretty plain. If you've seen it yourself, you'll know. Science has gone, I don't know. Science has gone to the dogs. It's just plain gone. It's not what it used to be. Anyway, I'm Papa Bear. Today is Tuesday, March 30th, first day of spring. It's a beautiful day. Look out if you're in New England. You're going to get that snow. That, my friends, is what's out there. Have a great day.
Well, we need to know a couple of things. Number one, we need to know how the world's premier law enforcement agency managed to lose 5 months' worth of text. And what's also troubling is in the text we do have, they're discussing how to avoid text being captured and secured. So what's missing is important, but also what's there is important. It is manifest bias, not just against Trump, but against his kids, against his business interests. There's a text where they hope the Trump hotel fails. That is a level of bias that you rarely see and you never see from law enforcement officers. What's also troubling to me is this text that Johnny Ratcliffe found last night about this secret society. Now, I have no clue what that means because that was not the phraseology I used, but it's the day after the election, and it's the same two people that we're discussing a little bit later in the text the damage they had done with the Clinton investigation and how they could, quote, fix it and make it right.
What's out there?